Welcome to this week's Reddit reply, and it might look a little different. Things might look a little bit, I don't know, slightly different because we have a new table, kind of redid the studio a little bit, which I'm really excited for. Still working out some of the kinks and some of the bugs, but we're getting there. So anyway, we're gonna be talking about some spoiler cards. We're gonna talk about playing with playmats. We're gonna talk about making harder villains easier, and get into all that. But first is gonna be the spoiler card. So I will put on the screen right down here the timestamp you should go to if you want to skip all the spoilers, because I know some people don't want to see that stuff, but we will be going into spoilers first and foremost. So let's talk about them. All right, so again, last quick warning, there's about to be spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled, don't look at the next screen. But here we go. So this is Feral, which has been announced as a spoiler card. It's a 4-cost ally, 2 thwart, 2 attack, 3 life, justice card. After Feral thwarts, discard the top card of your deck. For each resource icon discard this way, deal 1 damage to the villain, which is a pretty cool idea, right? It's pretty neat how they're setting this up, that you can basically by thwarting, it does some damage as well. I think 4 costs might be a little expensive now. Again, in a deck where there's double resources or several double resources or triple resources even, that's really awesome, right? Being able to know that you're discarding that card might make a benefit. I don't think it's like an amazing card per se, but I think it's fine, right? I think it's a good option. I think it'll be interesting to see how it works and how it plays out. But I'm not like overly crazy hyped for it, but I think it'll be a fine card, right? I think it'll be a fine card, and I think that's pretty cool. So, Feral, that's one of the cards that was spoiled. The other one, which has more people talking, is Mission Leader. It's a 2-cost upgrade. Reduce the costs to play Mission Leader by 1 if your identity has the soldier trait. It's kind of cool. They're going back to older traits and whatever, because we haven't had that come up in a little while, or haven't really had that talked about. So anyway, Mission Leader, reduce it by 1, which is pretty strong. So here, response. After a side scheme is defeated, and this is for leadership, exhaust Mission Leader, each player draws 1 card, which is kind of a bonkers card. We have something like this in Justice, but the fact that they're doing this for leadership and that each player draws 1 card, I think for a multiplayer game, that this is getting close to an auto include. I mean, even if you don't have to reduce it by 1 for a soldier trait, just having a 2-cost upgrade that allows that. I mean, if you know there's gonna be a lot of side schemes, then I think that this card is probably gonna be worth it. I think it's gonna be really worth it. So interesting card, pretty strong card. Be fun to see when it comes out and what people can actually do with it. But I know some people are upset that this is maybe like too strong of a card. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. I don't really mind if a card is a little too strong, but it definitely is much better at the multiplayer level. But even at solo, if you're playing leadership, at least it gives leadership something a little different than most of the time we're playing recursion decks with leadership. So I'll say that much. But yeah, it's a fine card. All right, you are now spoiler free, just FYI, because I know people will be tuning into like this spot. So you're spoiler free, you're good now. All right, so Asmodee policy toward custom content. I was looking at making a full on simulation Marvel Champions. I'm a game developer and thought it'd be cool to create an actual fully complete Marvel Champions digital app. I know obviously I don't own anything here. It seems Asmodee is decently supportive of the custom content community. Regardless if the project was open source or nonprofit or any money for that matter, do you know if this is a risky thing legal wise? Now, just real quick, if you think something is like risky legal wise to the point that you're having to ask a community about it, it's probably because it's illegal. Like realistically, like if you don't know that what you're doing is not illegal, there's like a chance, like a pretty good chance it's probably illegal or like frowned upon. It's not always the case. I am not making a general claim that every single time you have to ask a question it's really illegal. That's not what I'm saying. But yeah. Not trying to get sued, or I think it'd be cool to have a digital version of the game that could work on mobile and not like a TTS mod, more like Marvel Snap type game. So the biggest problem with this is that Asmodee / Fantasy Flight / whoever they work with is going to probably do this at some point. They've done this with Lord of the Rings. I assume, I think they've done it with Arkham, or they talked about doing it with Arkham, but I don't know. They're probably going to do a digital version of this game as well at some point. And the thing is, this isn't custom content, right? Like it's a custom way of delivering things, but custom content in the traditional sense is we've done on this channel before where people like create their own heroes, and they're not trying to sell them, and they're just like having fun like designs with them, and that's it. That's much different than what this is. So no, don't do this. I mean, I would like this to be really cool. And if Asmodee or Fantasy Flight you're watching, I hope this is in the plans to eventually do something like this, because I think it'd be really cool for the community. But no, as an individual, you should probably not do this. Don't do this. All right, next one is playing with a playmat. What is the consensus for playing with a playmat? I generally use the floor table when playing, so not sure whether I benefit or what the benefit is. To me, the playmat is the number 2 upgrade. Number 1 is always sleeves. I always like sleeves, and I like to protect the cards, and I think it makes it easy shuffling, and makes it easy dealing, all that fun stuff. Playmat's number 2 because of picking up off a table. Like, to pick up a card off a hard surface, for me, maybe I'm weird, is kind of like hard to do, and I can't do it without like flicking at the card a lot, and that's part of the reason why I have sleeves on. But even sleeves, like, it can be hard to pick up sometimes. Playmat, the big reason to play with a playmat is that it's easier to pick up. I don't know if that's everyone else, but that's at least for me how I do it. So let me know. Do you play with a playmat? Do you not? It seems like I think there's a general amount of people in here that agree with playing with a playmat, that they liked it, but I didn't know if that was like something my community was into, playing with playmats or not. Let me know. All right, so this next one I thought was kind of fun because I like the show Peacemaker. I think it's a funny show. I just like John Cena as an actor, and somebody did a custom content for Peacemaker, which I thought was pretty fun. 1/2/1 hero with 11 hit points, 5 hand size. After Peacemaker damages the enemy, move 1 threat from a scheme to that enemy. An enemy may have up to 2 threat on it, and that kind of works into the whole thing they're trying to do. But they have Eagly, which is really fun to see, which gives Christopher Smith a +1 recovery. After you remove threat from the enemy, shuffle Eagly into your deck, remove an equal amount of threat from the scheme, and give your identity a tough status, right? They have this whole helmet, which gives them +1 defense and increase the amount of threat that enemy can do by 2. So exhaust this card and remove 2 threat from an enemy to ready Peacemaker, which is an interesting concept of like taking threat off of it, or putting threat onto an enemy right off of something, and then using said threat to like ready Peacemaker is cool. Vigilantes, 2 cost signature ally, 1 threat, 2 attack, 3 life. You may play Vigilante from your hand or discard pile by searching the encounter deck and discard pile for a side scheme, revealing it instead of paying its cost, which is cool. Keep the peace. I won't go into like all of the cards, but I think it's a pretty cool idea, and I like the idea of like people putting up more custom content on Reddit. I think it exposes people more to the custom content that's out there. I know like the custom content folks like have their Discord, and I highly recommend joining it. If you need a link, let me know that in the comments. I could put a link to it. But I think it's any way that we can get more exposure to that community is really cool, because they do some great work over there. So I just want to shout this out, and I hope more custom content creators do stuff like this, as long as it's okay with the subreddit. I assume it is. If it's not, you can use my subreddit. It's not super active, but maybe it will be in someday or something. I don't know. But yeah, anyone can post to my subreddit and put custom content or whatever they want on there. I don't care. But yeah, so hopefully the Reddit community is cool with this, and I hope they do more of this to, again, just give more awareness to this part of the community, because they do really cool work. All right, making harder villains less hard. So despite owning the entire collection, I still consider myself a casual player. I always play on standard difficulty and don't have the time or a particular interest in a full-on deck construction, which I get. And this is one of the nice things about this game, is that you don't have to be super into deck construction, right? Like you can just be like a quote unquote casual player and really get into the game. And Marvel CDB does a great job of this, really making it easy for people to kind of just like jump into the game and play. And I think this is why pre-cons were so like enjoyed by so much of the community. So they talk about that they don't want to box themselves into playing only the strongest heroes, such as Captain America, Doctor Strange, Spider-Ham, Valkyrie. I mean, they didn't put Valkyrie, but, you know, obviously that was the etc. part, was Valkyrie. So they want to make ways to take hard villains. Loki, Thanos, Venom, Goblin, and maybe Ronin, but they wrote them off. And how to make them easier, right? Playing like an easier difficulty instead of just standard. And somebody talked about with a great way of doing it is the limit surge effects, which makes sense, right? You can only have 1 surge per phase. I think for Loki, taking away the Infinity Gauntlet does lower his difficulty a decent amount, which will help. Some of his cards don't make sense then, because they work off the Infinity Gauntlet, so that is a special thing to note. Thanos, I've seen people take away Stalwart or reduce stalwart to steady to help him out. Venom Goblin, I don't know. I don't know how to make him easier. I'm sure there's a way to do it. I just haven't really thought about it. Maybe a threat only goes on the active scheme, not all the main schemes, right? That could be a way to do it. Don't use the suggested modular set for the main thing. Like, don't use a different modular set. That helps out a lot. That makes them a lot more manageable. So there's a lot of different things you could do, but some people have some good ideas with things. Let me know your ideas of what to do. I think the big one is, when the suggested modular set, don't use the one they suggest, use an easier one. That will help out a lot. And that's not like breaking the rules, right? Because it's suggested. It could be any modular set you want. For me, this was a hard thing of me like switching up modular sets, and this is why I use marbles a lot on stream, because I don't always know like what modular set I should use. But I do think this is a good idea and a good suggestion for a lot of people. Change the modular set first to something that's easy, and then move on from there. And then do other things like limit surges, don't use the Infinity Gauntlet, whatever else, right? But I think that's a good place to start, is change the modular set. I've also seen people say add an extra easy modular set. Like, if there's one modular set, use an easy one and add another easy one. Because what you're doing is then you're watering down the villain cards. And the villain cards are what makes the game so hard, generally speaking. So if you can water down those cards so that they show up less, that will also make the deck like inevitably easy. So that's another thing you could do. All right, this is the last one. Which type of scenario pack you want to mostly see from now on? And I'm fine with any of these scenario packs, but the one I want to see mostly from now on is multiple scenario packs in one pack. So for example, like Mojo Mania, I don't like Mojo per se. Like, he's okay, but I'm not like the biggest fan of Mojo. But Magog and Spiral, I like a lot. I think they're a lot of fun. Same with Green Goblin pack. I like Risky Business. I like Mutagen Formula. I like both of them a lot. Despite Risky Business being an easier one, that's fine. It doesn't really bother me. One big scenario, multiple components. Wrecking Crew's okay. Kang's, I'm not a big fan, but if they made like a solo version one, I think it's fine. Or one normal scenario with lots of modular sets like the Hood, or no strong feelings. This is an open question to the community. I'm kind of curious myself on this. What do you want to see? If you voted on this already, like, just let me know what you voted on. I'm really curious how people feel about modular sets moving forward. And if it does something really unique and off the wall, I'm kind of for that too, right? If they want to use the modular pack as a way to like do like a crazy experiment that wouldn't make sense with like a normal villain, right? I think that's cool too. I think I'd be pretty excited and pretty hyped for that as well. So that's another option of what they could do. Not that they have to, but I think that's another idea that I think would be pretty fun. So that's it for this week's Reddit reply. Recently I came out with a video about auto include cards. It's right here. It's a pretty interesting discussion. What do you consider auto include cards? Make sure to watch that video and weigh in with your opinion. And if you like this video, make sure to hit like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Really helps the channel. See y'all next time.